All right. Hello. So far we have said that there are paths, what it calls them, paths in Torah. Shvira Torah. Sheyesh b'hem tzboyinus g'doyla me'od. That it is in those paths or through those paths or by those, there is an immense level of insight in Torah. So we dedicated a little bit of time of first of all, said that the Shvila Torah that we're dealing, it's interesting why Dafka the Rebbe uses this particular word. It's not like, because before the meaning of what the Rebbe is saying is that there are levels in seeing Torah, and clearly this is what is meant. Nevertheless, the Rebbe calls them shvila, within paths, which is interesting because path, per definition, is something that that limits. Sort of like path is a sequential process of yes, this, and then this, and then this, amongst a sea of not this, and not this, and not this, and not this. Path is something very specific. It negates, the Gemara says, lapuki, all the other possibilities. Dafka that. So it's interesting. And before when the Rebbe speaks about a shvila that has this kind of insight, and he says that all the Gedolei Israel that the entire Torah, because the Nigla, the entire Torah went through, and Moshe Rabbeinu, Ravashi, Rabbeinu, Yehuda Anasi, they all were immensely wealthy. So the Rebbe says that you need to have this wealth, to get this kind of mind frame, consciousness that enables to see the entire Torah as an entirety, as one thing. So it's interesting why Dafka uses the word path. But nevertheless, he said that there are shvila Torah that enable a great amount of his benus. And the Rebbe says it's not possible to get that kind of his benus, kind of level, except by possessing a great amount of wealth. Moshe Rabbeinu was very wealthy. Ravashi was very wealthy. Yehuda Anasi was very wealthy. All the Nevi'im were very wealthy. But everybody, So we spoke a little bit about, this Indian. What kind of level of why is this level? Doesn't mean that he understands more. He has a better mind. He has a better moyach, to be able to. And we said that no, it's a different level of perception. And we mentioned the fact that in the Gemara says it's Tashma, come and hear, which is an additional thing. You hear this, you understand this, then you learn this, you understand that, and so on. You're building yourself a gear, so you build yourself out. The Zohar already says, Tachazi, can't see. And so when you see the whole thing in one shot. It's only a matter of what are you focusing on. Actually, the attention that we have, the sight that we have, is actually reductive. In other words, we see everything. But our mind is purposefully limited to focus only on one thing. This is where the hero comes from. But the mind itself, when you take one look at the whole thing, you get the whole thing. So when you hypnotize somebody and you ask him what did you see, he can describe every single thing. He saw every single detail. Everything is there. So the level of the nista, or the level of Sefer Azor, so far, it's already a level of Tachas the common see. So we see it's a quantum leap, it's just more. And we said Likutey Moharan, the Rebbe already talks about that, to know. In other words, this is, the ears and the eyes are basically the what do you call it, the gophers of the sechel of the das. You know, the ears bring it to the mind and the eyes bring it to the mind, but that means already in the mind itself. And we sort of touched on it and saying that it's not a little Hasidic knowledge where you add, again, more facts that you know, you figure things out, you invent things, you discover things. It's not that kind of das. It's a that is you're going backwards, as it were, towards the inside. It's like the das, the da that you know that you're you. I mean, you don't be truth. You don't even back up that stuff. In other words, you know Torah on that level, like you know that you're you. That's a whole different paradigm. It's a whole different, it's a quantum leap of experience in the Torah. And this is the only way possible that this situation is sustainable is if the person possesses an immense amount of wealth. Then you said that the only way that you can keep this wealth is in something called arichas yamin, which becomes possible through Europe. Let's understand what is it we're talking about here. Arichas yamin that we spoke about is not longevity that is measured in years. The longevity that the Rebbe speaks about here is when the day starts and you don't feel like embarking in a way to shot. You don't feel like diving. You don't feel like learning. Or maybe today's not a day, what I'm saying? I'm learning it, I don't know what I'm doing. And so you start very narrow. It says then every hour it passes, you're widening, you're stretching your day with additional kedusha, additional tahara, additional. It says that means arichas yamin. That means that you're, longevity, long days. And the Rebbe says that the thing that enables that enables this kind of state of mind, where you keep on adding more kedusha, more tahara every single hour, then day by day, and then week by week, and so forth and so on. You can't do it on willpower alone. It's like a diet. You can't do it on willpower. You have to put yourself in a crucible that you have to. Because otherwise, your willpower, we said, a lot of people said, remember we spoke about the New Resolution, when people register to gyms. How long is it going to last? A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, finish. If a person wants to lose weight, they said, that put your office in the basement and in the toilet, on the second floor. On the second floor, that's the way you're going to exercise, because you have to. Yeah? So what is this impetus that will enable a person to go against the grain all the time, every single day? You wake up in the morning, whatever starts by saying, you don't feel like doing it. Okay, there are better days, worse days, more or less. Go on, say that. But nevertheless, it's a constant battle. So And it says that the way to do it, the thing that forces you to do it, is Yira. Yishemai. Now we go, you have seichel that you understand, listen. As Rabbi said, so you're speaking with people, tell them, wow, what do you think? This world ends. Not Hashem later, other than soon, but nevertheless, it's like the Lord Nachman said, this world is like, what is the Nechama? What is the kind of like relaxation that people take regarding Avodas Hashem? He says it's like a condemned prisoner that is being put on the wagon on the way to the gallows. And his nechama is he simply doesn't know how long the journey is going to be. That's reality. That's not what it is. So, Yira is the thing that, forces you to go first from the basement to the third floor. And it says that Yira, this is the case, it says that the Melech says, Yiras Hashem Yoitzorai. The treasure of Kadosh is Yiras Hashem, or rather, treasure of every person is Yiras Hashem. So the Gemara says, Yiras Hashem Yoitzorai talks about a woman. So Kadosh Baruch Hu fashioned the woman narrow on top, wide on the bottom, so be able to carry offspring. Because that's exactly the build of Yerushalayim, the longevity that we're talking about. The days start narrow, the beginning, the top is narrow, and as you go along, it becomes you're making wider and wider and wider. The statement over here is actually bidirectional. It's one of the secrets of the Likutey Moharan. It's not just the Kiryas Shemayim brings you to Arichas Yamim. You have here, obviously, you're getting on the skates, you get on the bicycle and run. Good. But it also works the other way around. Yira is one of those things that it feels that, well, either you're Yeshamayim or you're not Yeshamayim. You have a certain level of Yeshamayim. What can you do, to increase your level of Yeshamayim? Obviously, you daven fine. But the Rebbe says, that longevity is the real longevity we're talking about is structured like an oitzer. Starts narrow and becomes wide. In the very same way that Yira forces you to stretch your days, and add more kedusha and more Yira into them. The same way doing the other way around also works. When you add kedusha every single day, which means if you add one more pasuk of Chumash, if you learn halacha, halacha every single day, you add a little here, you add a little there. That already works because you start when you don't feel like that, and it widens. It makes an oitza. It makes a year. In other words, it increases your year. Or it's both things. The Rebbe says that when a person is zocher of yira, you zocher to siyamim and so forth. He says why this is auspicious for ashiras, for wealth. Why so? So the Rebbe says because Yerushalayim is something that guards a person from a state of mind that prevents a person from being rich. What? That prevents a person, a state of mind. So instead of being
Right, what you say before,
that prevents, Yir Shamayim, the Rebbe says, is something that prevents a condition. Okay? Condition, affliction, matzah, whatever, that almost like makes it almost inevitable that the person will be poor.
Yir Shamayim makes it that a person will be poor?
No, prevents the situation, prevents from the condition that causes poverty. That's the lashon we use here. A yira shomers me'ahefek shel hashiros. The yira guards you from the opposite of hashiros. And then it says, what is it? So it says in the pasuk, in Eshes Chayil, it says, sheker achem vehevel hayofi. Chen, it says, is that kind of cool swagger that people have in the way they speak, in the way that they behave, in the way they stand, in the way they talk, in the way they eat, in the way they act. People have different ways of being cool. Charisma, a person can be charismatic without lying like that. We're talking about, like Kamala Harris was faking all kinds of accents. It's like that's called Henshel Sheker. This is Sheker Achem. You're singers, it's like they have all these, you don't speak like that. I don't understand what you're saying. That's cool, man. When I sing like this, I'm being cool. I sound like a rock star. This is Sheker Achem. Rabbi says that a person has various different kind of fake things that they do in order to be attractive, in order to be. That's Sheker Achem. He says, why does a person have this tendency to fake those kind of Henshel Sheker? He says, when a person does not keep himself away from Hevel Hayofi, from realizing that the beauty of women is ephemeral. What? Ephemeral. Hevel. It's like a smoke. And the thing is that when a person is attracted to the beauty of women, every person along his level, wherever his matzav is, when a person is attracted to women, automatically his conduct in various things becomes affectations, becomes fictive, becomes fake. So that Yira keeps a person away from that. The person is Yir Shamayim, he doesn't look at women. I mean, the thing is, there's a very different understanding of what you want me not to be attracted to women. Well, the answer is no. That's not to do with it. If you were not attracted to women, then the whole Avodas Hashem in Shmir Shabbos doesn't mean anything.
You eventually get to that level, no?
What?
The pain will eventually broke his time with the job.
Said it. But the thing is that Rabbeinu says the Sichas Haran, that the person should not be rattled by getting licentious thoughts in his head, fantasy and stuff like that. And so the Rebbe speaks, with great severity, the fact that do not entertain those thoughts. But he said, but don't worry that these thoughts come into your head. He says, that's your homework. If you didn't have those urges, what are you going to work on? This is it. Years ago, I remember there was a in Life magazine. Remember Life magazine? There was an article about an Arab from Iraq, I think, that decided he's going to have himself fixed, neutered. He said he was totally into this, into women. He was a religious guy. He was totally into this. He decided, that's it, finished. He says the day that the operation was over, he says older and all became assistants. No problem. But there's nobody to shove in it. That doesn't bring to Europe. These things don't bother him anymore. But that's not the name of the game. This is not what it's about. So the Euro keeps away from the Chevel Yom. A person, when a person is here, not only is it something that reminds a person to stay away from Chevel Yom, but the Euro has this segula, this property, that when a person becomes a Shamayim, the Hevel Yofi loses the attraction by him. To the point of what he's shown. The Rebbe says that when he spoke about the Yetzer Hara of Rav Olam, he says that anybody has a Sechel Amiti. He says anybody that is proficient, in anatomy. He says it's already right that this person should be totally disgusted with the whole hand. He says, how much more so somebody that is a Chacham Amiti? He says, that's not the that's not the Yetzer Hara. The tzaddik is a holy Malach Kodesh Mamish. But the tzaddikim, the Yetzer Hara is Gabris Adinim. This is what he said about David HaMelech. David HaMelech says, you're not going to build the Beis Hamikdash. Rabin Shapachtin, you spilled a lot of blood. So everything David HaMelech did wasn't that because David HaMelech was like Chasa Chalila, what you call it, Vlad the Impaler. That's Attila the Hermit. Chasa Chalila. The David HaMelech, everything he did, but the Ruach HaKodesh was here. Urim v'Tumim. David HaMelech didn't have to lift a finger. But nevertheless, but that was wrong. But it's a metzius of dinim. That's all. But the tzaddikim, like David HaMelech, is a gavas adinim. To the point, no, Beis Hamikdash you cannot build, even though without you, Beis Hamikdash cannot be built. Nevertheless, you cannot build it because the Yetzer Hara of tzaddikim is Malach Kodesh Mamish. Says Rabbeinu about Ken, Avram, and Yitzchak. They came to a place where Yishamayim was lacking. I mean, they were totally Yishamayim, no problem. But they just came to places where Yishamayim was lacking. The minute they wanted to enter, Avram to Mitzrayim, Yitzchak, with Avimelech.
This is Parsha. It's the Parsha.
That's right. The minute they wanted to enter those places, they felt it. What did they feel? The Rebbe says, because they started feeling, they started being attracted. They see Erech Goluk Dushasam, commensurately with the extent of their Kedusha, Yoife Anasha, the beauty of women, the attractiveness of women. They started feeling it. The minute they felt, they started being, attracted according to them at Rega, they started being aware of the beauty of their own women. Around about Sarah, Yitzchak and Rivka. They all felt there's no year in him. Amelech, asked Ram Avinu, why'd you do this? He says, I just told myself, this time. And Yishaman Amalkum Hazed, there's no Yishaman in this place. You're going to kill me for my wife. They forbade upon them, to be with their wives as if they were their sisters. They were completely out. They said Avraham Avinu, he came to Eretz Plishtim. He said about Sarah, that's his sister. Abimelech, the king of Gra, took her, right? Yishmael came to him and told him, give her back, otherwise you're dead man walking. Avraham Avinu says, he said, how could you do this? How could you bring this kind of danger upon me, that by telling about your wife that she's your sister? There's no Yesh Shamayim in this place. And so the fact that he said about his wife that she's his sister, that he actually forbade her upon him, as if she was his sister. That was the nine. He felt there's no year. So Ben says, then Avraham Avinu fixed that. That he pulled longevity. We said when a person fixes that particular problem, he gets Yira. He gets Yira. He gets to lengthen his days, right? Arichas Yamin. Katuv, Vayagar Avram Be'at Plishtim, Yamim Rabban, many days. Chinas Yiras Hashem, Toisif Yamim. Yiras Hashem is the kind of fear that adds life, not subtracts life. A couple of Shabbos ago, we learned Spur Maisius, not here in Gimel, about Maisim Burger Ve'oni, the burger and the pauper. That the wife of the pauper, this is a theme that keeps on repeating. It's Spur Maisius, the male and the female get separated, the female gets abducted, then they come back, the male gets abducted, they come back, and then they separate again, and they come back. There's great inyon in the Kabbalah that are embedded in this particular dynamics of separation and coming back. In fact, the whole union of day and night happens through that particular mahala, during the day a person is in motion, right? He goes to sleep, that motion goes away. The only thing that's left is the moon. The motion is considered, the male, and the moon is considered female. And then that female is being built by Chatzois, the person wakes up and so forth, so on. Turn on the chest, and it goes into great detail into the process. Until comes the day full that the wife, the woman and the man, they come together, the Malchus and Zerampin come together, so until the day of that, to get the motion. The night is separating. So this kind of coming together and setting apart is something that happens a lot. So they repeats it in Spur Maisius. Something that happens on a daily basis. The Rebbe said the thing that starts the ball rolling, or the Yeshua of the Papa, of the entire Am Yisrael, the Meisim from Berger and Berger Ve'oni, you have the whole Indian, everything that's going to happen until Mashiach will come. Especially towards the end, when the real husband of the Shekhinah, which is Mashiach, gets despaired. And he tries to sell her to other kings. Because she doesn't want to marry anyone except her real shudach. He's the only one that knows the secrets. He goes to tell another king about it. He says, okay, I'll go and he goes. It's a process. Then he goes to another king. And each time that king says, thank you very much, and flings him to another 400 miles away. And so forth. So he says, another one. I saw this video of the founder of Shalom Achshav, Peace Now. Came to Lubavitch Rebbe, and I don't know, he got dollars, whatever, when he was giving dollars, and he came by him, and he tried to engage him in a conversation why it was worthwhile to give away, to compromise on the integrity of Eretz Yisrael, for peace. The Lubavitch Rebbe, didn't take any prisoners. Oh, flat out. He says, first of all, no such thing as peace with God. Forget about it. And then he said to him, Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, Torah Yisrael is one thing. You can't give away pieces of Eretz Yisrael and expect, because it belongs to, it just belongs to Am Yisrael the way that Germany belongs to Germans, or America belongs to Americans, or England belongs to England, the Englishmen. It's one thing, it's one entity with the Jewish nation. But at the end, he tells him one sentence, just like, bingo. He tells him, stop looking for reasons to give away pieces of Eretz Yisrael. That's what you really want. Peace is just a terrace to come about. You simply want to give away a piece of Eretz Yisrael. It's a certain kind of when a person is about to close a deal, a big deal. You get weak knees, it's like, I'm afraid. So, okay, something, let's self-sabotage. Okay, whatever it is. Let's do things that will make sure that this doesn't happen. We are on the force of the Geula. So it makes people, like, they don't know. The Muslim, after the Yilo Chazeh, Muslim Chazeh, his Muslim sees it. Tries to give away pieces of Eretz Yisrael and push it away, push it off. You have to be a gibor. So over there in that story, the poor man is crying. They took his wife away. His general kidnapped his wife, and so forth and so on. He kept on crying. He was a neighbor of this merchant who was wealthy. And he kept on crying. One day, this merchant says, why are you crying so much? So this merchant said, how would I not cry? I mean, other people have this stuff, they have families, they have this, they have that, whatever. I have absolutely nothing. That's it, just my wife. She's taken, how do you want me not to cry? That awakened the burden to the merchant. Taken says, and Rabbeinu says he did something, totally freaked out. A freaked out mice mevoah, he says. Found out what's the country that this general lives in. Went there, find out where the palace of the general is, went in there, and he went there. Everybody freaked out. He saw somebody freaked out. They themselves freaked out. He walks right in to where she is, tells her, come on, let's go. And then when he takes her out, then they're looking for them and so forth and so on, and the whole thing begins.
The husband eventually went bad.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
eating the
Yes.
burger.
Yes.
Son of the burger.
Yeah.
Then he did the
And then he did tshuva. We said Mashiach, the son of the burger was Mashiach. But the main thing is that when you take a look at what's going on there, there's the whole mahal of Jewish history, before Mashiach comes. But there are two nakudas that are pertinent over there for us to look at. One of them is that the pauper did not stop crying. In other words, he did not let himself be distracted. Get used to it. Sit down, have a cup of tea, some biscuits. Relax. What can you do? He did not stop. It's a very important thing. The Zohar says, like, what's the difference? In Tisha B'Av says, how she was like a widow. So this is what's the difference between lak and almona and an almona? What's the difference between the two? So it says an almona, lo aleina v'lo aleichem, is a woman her husband will never come back. Almona, there says it's like a woman that there's a big river between her and her husband. The husband is on the other side. She's not an almona, she's almona. In other words, she keeps on mourning, waiting for her husband. But the husband is there. The husband is there. There is a tikkun for that. So, Megillas Eichel, that says that the matzav of the Jewish people is almona. It's not almona chas v'chalila. Lo almon Yisrael. It's almona. So the first thing is, it's very easy to get, like dragged away with, that's the way I am. What do you want from my life? This is what I can do. This is what I cannot do. And finish. Leave me alone. I'll do what I can. I'm a good Jew. Look at that. I have a beard. What else do you want from me? I daven. Okay, daven. This, that. That kind of relaxation, strashness, that command chapter calls it. It's because a person feels like he has an option. Okay, there's no option. There is no option. The poor man keeps on crying as far as he's concerned. There is no option. He can't do anything. Okay, fine. But he's crying. The fact that he's crying for it, causes the merchant, the businessman, the guy to have a stout heart to go ahead and do something. It was ma'or rachmanis of a power greater than him. Which means we all find ourselves, facing a brick wall. Of our own device, fine. But nevertheless, for us, it's a brick wall. So there was his first thing is cry about it. Crying it's a process. Somebody breaks down in tears, just washes the floor with his tears. Crying means, how a child makes himself cry. Right? So I passed a couple of days ago. Class is a center there. I know that I was 4-year-old child, 5. He wasn't on the floor, he was crying. I was passed by. Anything else? Not you. Don't disturb me. I'm working, I'm crying, man. Can't you see I'm busy? What are you hacking at China? You see, I'm working now. Anyhow, crying is something that you can work on. You can cry to cry. The Zohar says, that when a person makes voices of crying, on Rosh Hashanah, or Kippur, whatever, even though it's hard, It awakens up Rachamim and Shemayim. Why? I'm faking it, man. No, but nevertheless, you're crying to cry. Or you're crying to cry to cry.
People also say you have to be careful not to think of sad thoughts that kind of break themselves.
We're not talking about sad thoughts, we're talking about a person to worry about what is going to talk about Yira L'chaim. We're not talking about how bad I am. That's not what I'm talking about. Because what the Rebbe says, he says, what? What is going to be? They told Reb Nosson that the Blavitzin from the Ditchev said that on Yom Kippur, even the fish in the water tremble with fear. So Nosson's reaction was, so how much you have to tremble when you don't tremble? It's, what I'm saying? Said that. How much, how much you need to worry that you're not worrying? I said, fine, but because what do you do? What you do is that you start worrying about the fact that you're not worrying. Why am I so blasé? Time passes by. Eventually, it awakens within you a certain impetus to do something freaked out. Ma'aseh Mevoah. In other words, listen, every person has certain kind of a look. This is the direction I'm going. This is too much. I'm not. This is not enough. Oh man. Well, yeah, this is it. It's not exactly it. I wish I was over there, but at a certain point in time, you got to break the mold. You have to do a Ma'aseh Mevoah. Ma'aseh Mevoah means I don't know if it's going to last. I don't know if it's going to succeed. I don't know. Because a person is locked in a state of mind like a jail. I know a person that was locked in a situation. A person very well. He was an advertising copyright. It's a very possible profession. Everybody does. It was a big balchon. One, I said, his man, he was like Mr. Big. I understand, where couldn't pay his bills. So what for years. And he couldn't pay his rent. So for years he got, mixed up with landlords. Can't pay your rent, I can't do this and I can't do that, whatever it is. So, a renter from hell, kind of a tenant from hell kind of thing. At a certain point in time, he saw that he cannot pay his bills, cannot pay his rent, got up, and he went to work as a cashier in a supermarket. Told me that, in America, when you ask a person, what do you do? You're really asking him, who are you? Copywriter. That's who you are. So, I'm an investor, an investment banker. Okay. This is who you are. So he told me that somebody who lived here in Olive, like somebody wasn't friendly or whatever it is, a person is like also a meek person, whatever it is, and he asked him like, "How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time." So I think it's fine. How are you, Sam? So what do you do these days? So he told him, I'm a cashier in a supermarket. So the other person said, oh, okay, that's nice. He just walked away. We'll talk to a copywriter. Jeez. That's from the outside. But he told me that particular mahalach that he went and started wearing as a cashier just broke the mold. You know, they said that in the ancient times there was a knot that nobody could undo, the legendary knot, the Gordian knot. He said that Alexander the Great, when he came, they showed him the Gordian knot. Nobody can undo it. They took his sword and just cut the whole thing, finished. Undo. Boom. At a certain point in time, you need to beg a Kodesh Baruch to awaken within you the burger, the businessman, you know, the decisive part of who you are. So you can do something, a ma'aser involved, break the mold, break out of the jail of your own mind. But it's not safe. Go. And like if you read the Ma'aser, he says after the results were, you know, before the grand delivery, they went through, you know, the Sheva Meinos, the 7 waters, which by Anish is the euphemism for, you know, being well baked in this world, going through. You start with knowing that your wife, Isha, Yiras Hashem Yotzoroi, talks about the Isha, Osoka Oitza. Stay away from Yofion of the Nashim. Yiras Hashem Itisala. Remember, you say, I don't know how many times there's literally hell to pay. Shemira. Yeah, but you know, I'm my own jail. How do I break out? I don't have the guts to do a ma'aser mevorach, you know, to do a freaked out thing, you know, to break the mold and sort of to become a cashier in a supermarket after being a copper. I cannot do it. So you start mourning about it. I lost it. I lost Kial Mono. It's on the other side. It's on the other side. It's on the other side. It's there. It's possible. Long for it. Ask for it. B'ezrat Hashem, it wakes up that situation that you have to do a ma'aser mevorach. Because the thing is that it really is not a freaked out ma'aser. It's something which is, as the Hebrews is mitbakesh. Life passes whether you like it or not. You know, this kind of envelope of comfort. No time for that. As we said last week, the only capital the person has in this world is time. And it's slipping in fingers. The way to start this start wishing to be able to do a ma'aser mevorach, to stop living like a nut. Stop living like as if you have all the time in the world. You don't. Stop living as if you have options. You don't. I don't. I don't have options. How can I allow myself being busy with this nonsense? Because I mean, my envelope of comfort in my jail, in my little kid, okay, I don't move too much here, too much there. I'll be fine somehow. Not that bad.
When you say we don't have options, what do you mean by that? I mean, you have free choice, eh?
You have free choice, yes, but you have no option. You have no options means that, yeah, I mean, technically, you can say, you can close the safe and just shut me off. There's enough trouble with the Bechira when you know what the truth is. What we're doing over here, all this, what this Shira is about, is basically talking about strategy and tactics of how to work knowing what the emes is and facing the stumbling blocks that are keeping us away from that. And so, okay, so, you know, you go over to the left, you go to the right, you do a crossover, dribble, and that's the way you do it. This is how it's done. That's all what this year is about. And Emunat Tzadikim, you know, playing on to the level with this guy. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about tactics. But the tactics means that they say, you know, it's like somebody said, you know, but the government says, winning is not everything. So winning is the only thing. Being in Shemaim, doing what needs to be done is not everything. It's the only thing. Everything else is just nonsense. It's a waste of time. You know, it's like a person who's riding a bus. You see a person riding a bus, you know, with a wad of dollar bills, and there's the window open, and he throws a dollar bill out, another dollar bill out, another one, and another. Then the bus comes to the station. He has no money. He says, "Can you borrow me? Can you lend me some money? Where'd you throw all your money?" We said, "Use the Shemi Yatzara. These are the date. That's the only capital. It's time." We're trying to say, okay, how do we deal with it? Because the jail of the mind is real. Just because I tell myself, listen, it's all in your mind, doesn't mean that I'm free to choose differently. In order to choose differently, I have to do a ma'aseh thought, do a freaked out action. So what you need to do is yearn for it, yearn for it, yearn for it. You'll wake up. The malchus builds itself. It wakes up thereafter. That's that businessman. Then that means says, okay, the malchus already has its motion. This is very loving test. Reasons, you know, then the answer is becomes jealous of the malchus. Says, where's my motion? Then it wakes up. And then you break the mold, and then you start going. Avraham Avinu is the king of breaking the mold. The Bible says, Lech lecha out, you know, go away from everything that you perceive that this is who you are. This is what you are. Here's where you come from. That's your identity. That's your this, that's your that. You want to get to be Avraham Avinu, gotta break them all. That happened in Moharan. Moharan was much later, right? Avraham Avinu started the process when he was 3 years old. Something doesn't compute. You know, the sun is the leader, so how come by night it goes away? The moon, okay. The moon is the leader. Oh, it was just, you know, very poetically explains the process of Avraham Avinu, you know, coming and zooming in on what's real and what's not. At a certain point in time, if you have Rahmanas in this, gotta break it down. Gotta break that which is safe and just go. If it means making storing for yourself. So says, well, they saw that there's a danger, whatever it is. They took themselves, you know, precious from their wives as if they were their sisters. Oh, Abraham Yitzchak didn't play any games. It's not a game. The whole thing is not a game. Oh, ever. If he says you can lean on my coat, Rebbe also says that's the greatest thing that the Rebbe ever said. He said it's bigger than the Likutey Moharan. It's bigger than Tikkun HaKlali. It's bigger than Rebbe's Shon. Biggest thing. He also says that Rebbe says you can rely on my koyach. When spiritually, when it comes, it comes, in Wikipedia on the term pathetic is my picture. Fine, no problem. I can do it. But the Rebbe can. I can lean on him and start the process. The Rebbe says, I cannot do without you. You cannot do it without me, but I cannot do it without you. Unless you do what it is that you need to do, nothing's going to move, nothing's going to happen. Zat Hashem, like a second one, right? Oh, Shabbos long. Should be Zat Hashem Shabbos Menucha, Shabbos of breaking the mold. Hakila Hashem Yazor. Kol Tov, Tzlocha B'Kol Inyanim.
What is that? Rely on the.
But